Hello, my math independent study student. The objective for this video is multiplying rational expression. So what does this mean, rational? This is mean fraction, or I can say fractional. So if you want, so let's just review something very simple. If you multiply two fractions, you multiply the numerators by the denominator and the denominator by the denominator. So if I give you this fraction, 3 over 5, 3, we call this the numerator, and 5, we call this will be the denominator. Okay, so let's begin see this example here. So in this example, we are going to multiply the two fractions 3 over 5 times negative 2 over 9. Now, so the first thing I make a note for you to multiply. First, you want to divide any common factor, both numerator and denominator, before you multiply. So we have, let me write it down. So we have 3 over 5 times negative 2 over, I'm going to put parentheses around the negative 2 over 9. So the first thing I'll look for the common factor. So for the 3 and the 9, 3 and the 9, the common factor will be 3. So it will take 3 divided by 3. So think about 3 divided by 3. That will give us 1. Now 3 is the greatest common factor. And then 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. So we take each one of this number divided by the greatest common factor. So therefore, right here I'm going to go ahead and cross it out, and that will give me just 1. And the 9, cross it out, and that will give me 3. Now next, you are to go ahead and multiply numerators by the numerator. So you have 1 times negative 2, and then your denominator, you will have 5 times 3. Now you just go ahead and 1 times negative 2 will give you negative 2, and 5 times 3 will give you 15. So that will be the answer, or the products of the two rational, or the two fractions in this case. So it means that now you are going to apply the same technique when you multiply two rational expressions. So what does it mean? That now in your fraction you will see there are variables. And again, just make sure that you write yourself a note that you will divide out any common factors for both numerator and denominator. So let's begin with the next example. So go ahead and write down the steps. So there are three steps that I want you to pay attention here. Okay, so the first step is that you have to factor all numerators and denominator completely. Next, you have to divide out any common factors, and finally you want to multiply numerators together, and then multiply denominators together. So let's begin with example 2 here. So here we want to multiply the 3x squared over 2y. This is the first rational expression. So let me go ahead and write it down bigger so that you can see. So we have 3x squared over 2y times the second rational expression will be 4y to the power 3 over 3x. So the first thing I'm going to have look for the common factor. Or when in this case say factor, the numerator and the denominator come quickly. So let's start with the numerator. 3x squared, I can factor them as 3 times x times x. So this will be 3x squared. And then 2y just 2 times y times, and then my 4y to the power 3 will be 4 times y times y times y, and then 3x will be 3 times x. And divide out. So step 2, we're going to divide out common factor. So first of all, let's look for common factor. So compare your numerator and your denominator. So here we have the 3 as the common factor, the x as the common factor. So we divide it out. So it means that 3 gone, and the x is also gone. So now next, go to the 4 and the 2. The common factor is 2. So therefore 4 divided by 2 will give us 2, and 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. So now 1, you don't have to write it down. So I can write 1 here so you can see that. And then the next one, the y, and the y will become common factor, so that will be gone too. So therefore, the last step we're going to do is we go ahead and multiply the numerator together and the denominator together. So we have x times y. So that will give us x y to the power 2. And for the denominator, we have nothing left except 1, so we'll go ahead and put 1. Or if you don't want to write 1 in your denominator, you can ignore this. Or you just say your quotient, your product, which is xy squared. So let's move on to example 3. So here we are going to multiply two rational expressions. Now here we don't have a denominator. If you don't have a denominator, just go ahead and write 1 as your denominator. So x minus 5 over 1 times the second rational expression be 7 over x to the power 3 minus 5x squared. Okay, so the first step, we're going to factor all the numerator and denominator quickly. So x minus 5, we cannot factor that, so we'll go ahead and just write it exactly the way it is. X minus 5 over 1. So this is prime, 1 is prime. So let's move on next one. Then the second rational expression, 7 is prime number. So we'll go ahead and just keep it the way it is now. Look at our denominator for the second fraction. We have x to the power 3 and 5x squared. So the greatest common factor will be x squared. So x factor x squared. So therefore we have left will be just x minus 5. And then step 2, we are going to divide out common factor. So let's look for common factor. So the x minus 5 is a common factor. So we'll go ahead and divide it out. So that will be gone. So that becomes 1. So what we have left will be just. So when you divide it out, you can write 1 and 1 times 7 just 7. And then your denominator with 1 times x squared will be x squared. So our answer will be 7 over x squared. Or the product is 7 over x squared. That will be the conclusion for this video. Make sure you write out the summary. And thank you for watching. I will see you in class.